Hello and welcome to ARCHLine.XP 2022, a faster and better way to design. My name is Zoltán, and over here is our resident architect, Mr. Illés Pap.
Hi there.
Today we are going to show you a little bit of a sneak peek of the most anticipated ARCHLine.XP 2022 features. Here's a couple of examples. We are going to talk about how to use and integrate into your design PBR materials, what makes them the way they are. We also talk about color temperature, how to define your light sources not only by their colors but also by their color temperature. Slope slab layers, if you want to create, for example, a balcony drainage, you need to know how to get them right in ARCHLine. And also we discuss some aspects of a false ceiling, how to make them responsive units to track the changes on your design.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you can actually try the trial already. It's already on our website. You can download it and you can get your hands on all those stuff that we will introduce you today. And make sure you follow the following webinars because this is not the full list of the new features that we are talking about today.
Exactly.
But there's a lot more coming in later sessions. But we have a lot to cover today, so
Let's get going.
Let's jump in.
Let's see how to make our rendered visuals even more spectacular using PBR materials.
Yes, the example that we have here is a nice coffee shop interior, and it's equipped with a few PBR materials on its surfaces, and the most obvious PBR material is here in the background. So let me just start with that so I can explain what makes the difference when we are talking about PBR materials. The PBR materials are, as you can see on the surface, this is actually bumpy a little bit. It's not an even surface, not to talk about also that it has matte and reflective surfaces, it has scratches on it and so on. So it has a lot of information in it, which cannot simply describe by a simple texture. So when we're talking about PBR materials, that means that instead of having one single texture that is describing how it looks like, we have several other textures that describe the reflectivity, the reflection of the surface, the roughness of the surface, and so on. I will show you in detail a little bit how it looks like. And by the way, if you are curious about this whole thing, we actually already have a tutorial about that. So whatever you cannot see today, we already have that on our website in detail. So this is a very good example of how a PBR material looks like. It is way more rich than just a regular texture-based material. Let me show you another example. We have a kind partner who sent us a bunch of images which represent side by side what's the difference between the PBR materials and the regular materials. Now here on these images, as I go through those, you can see how a non-PBR and the PBR material looks like based on the same source texture, the surface texture, and also you can set up the differences between the reflectivity and so on. Here at the left hand side, this is a way more rich representation of the same texture because it has more information. It goes the same with any sort of concrete surface, wooden surfaces, and so on, as you can see on those images here. So they are, as you can see here on the left hand side, it's very obvious, not just by the color, but it's very obvious because of its reflectivity, how it looks like, that it's way more rich than the regular materials.
So how do they work?
Okay, so let me show you how you can how can we find them first. Yes. First of all, now in the software, when you install the ARCHLine.XP 2022, you will find an HQ materials library here. It's actually a filter. It's filtering down the materials only to the high quality materials. Now, when we are talking about high quality materials, it's not just the size of the texture, but it also is a PBR material. So all the materials represented with this little diamond icon at the right bottom corner, those are PBR materials. So as you can see, I actually used on this surface, this rusty surface, this metal plates surface. I just gone through to the rest of. So if I just would like to show you how this works and how it looks like, I just double click on this surface and I open up the material editor. The material editor by default loads the texture itself, and here's the trick. It is also having a metallic texture, and it is also having a roughness texture, which by the way, you can also find those here. So you don't have to open up the dialog, you can also find them here. But when we are in the dialog and I have chosen the render option, not just the texture or any other, I can see a nice preview of it and I can just actually design my material the way I want it. Now the cool thing with this, that actually you have access to hundreds, thousands of free materials online, which you can just go there, find the one that you like, load into the software, really, literally in one click, and then you can represent them in your software.
So now where do I find them?
Let me show you how that works. If you go to Interior and Material, and you click on this download button, you will actually load up the browser. And in the browser, this is sort of it's a link collection here. This is our website. We collected a few curated content providers with good quality materials, and at the moment of this presentation, they are free, completely free. But anytime you download something from them, make sure that you have the right to use those materials. Now, what I did in my previous examples, how I created this interior, I went to, for example, Ambient CG. I browsed through their libraries. I found stone, wall surfaces, and many other different surfaces. And whenever I found something that I liked, I just clicked on it. Let me just say I have opened up a brick surface, and then all that rich information that we can see on this little preview sphere is coming from the texture and from a lot of other channels, so-called other textures that are packed into one single file. Usually that's a zip file that you can download either in 1K or 2K. I usually go with the JPEG, but you can also go with other options. Make sure that you download not so large resolutions, because if you use too large, unnecessarily large resolutions, sometimes 4K and 8K is only important if you are very zooming really close up to the content. So it's not really necessary. I usually go with 1K or 2K first, and if I'm not satisfied, then I download the larger version, because they, as you can see, that those contents are large, so they will really increase the size of your project. So just take care, don't download something that is unnecessarily large.
So how do you get the downloaded content into the software?
Well, that is very simple. I already downloaded another Pocket, which is on my screen here and the other monitor. So this is how the downloaded package looks like. You will end up having a zip file. You don't even have to unzip it, because the software will handle it for you. You just need to click and drag, and then the software will automatically load up the the material designer, the material properties dialog, and you will see the same exact content which you just saw when I opened this up, and then you just hit OK, and then you can apply them on the surfaces. So this is how actually I created the following render, which was the predecessor, the ancestor of this one is this here. So I have just downloaded this texture, and perhaps I modified several other materials, I don't remember exactly, but this easily I could go online to the PBR collector sites, found something that I like, click and drag, hit OK, and then just click and drag them onto the surfaces of my model, and then create a quick render. So if I would like to summarize this whole thing, that through PBR materials, you not only have an access to the possibilities, to the tools that allow you to describe or create such really truly realistic materials through PBR materials, the PBR technology, but you also have the option to reach those large and continuously growing free libraries. Most of them are free, that you can just go there, download the package, and just drop them inside the software and then use them on the surfaces. So really realistic visuals are never been that easy before, like with the PBR materials.
Yes, and just like how you mentioned, you always have to keep an eye on the sizes of these these contents, so as not to make your project too large. So it's always a value judgment, but it justifies the effort, because you can get result like this. An interesting option regarding lights is that you can define them not only based on their color, but also by their color temperature. So how does that work?
Well, for this reason, I have loaded this project, which is a simple coffee shop interior. And this is something that works with the artificial light sources. So here on this scene, as you can see, we have a source of direct sunlight or indirect. It depends on the orientation of the sun. There is a ceiling lamp with 3 different sources here, and also a tall lamp here next to the sofa couch triangle here. So whenever you would like to tell a story through a render, it's important to set up a nice scene. And let me just load up this scene here and render it in a way as you want it to tell the story. Furnish it, give it the proper materials, and light it up the way you would like to paint that mood. Now, this is on two levels. One is how you light up the scene, how you organize the light sources and how you place them around the scene. And the other one is how those light sources giving warmth or a different type of interior scene on the final render. And this is something that you can do through the settings of light sources. If you select a lamp and then you are able to select any of those light sources, and then you go to the details of the light source, you have the option, to change the color or set up the color, change the dimming level and so on. And here is where you can actually change the color temperature. The basic default color temperature, if you click here, would be something around 6000. You can actually just move this slider here to find something like an average white bright, or something which is cooler or warmer. Here in this specific project, I have actually set up something around 3000, and it's quite warm. And I just did it with all the light sources all around. So whenever I do that, I can tell a completely different story of this interior by simply just moving to that render, which is this one. As you can see, it's the completely full with the same structure, same interior, same textures, but with different lighting.
Okay, how is this different from using the white balance adjuster?
The only difference here is that the original image, which was this, used the regular light source without additional color temperature definition. So it was just pure white, around 6000 every light sources. And when I just gone to the properties of these light sources and I changed them to all around 3000 each and every, it changed the warmth of the light source itself. So this is something like an information. If you purchase a bulb or something like that, you will see this information on the box. And if you just simply mimic that same tone that you can see on the box, you can mimic the same interior which would be given to you using that sort of light source. And this is also good, just as I mentioned, to tell a different story. So here, this is if you just see this image as the first time, you wouldn't perhaps say that it's cool or warm or something. It's just a cool, nice coffee shop interior. But if you compare those two to each other, then you can see that that has a completely different story on the right hand side from which is differentiated from the left hand side, just simply because of the color tone or color temperature that I have used for the light sources. So this is how you can tell a completely different story through renders and through changing the color temperature of the light sources that you used.
And basically working with real life light sources just became easier.
Yeah.
So let's see what of the improvements of the user interface.
Well, about the user interface, I think the most visible change in the user interface, which is actually an improvement of how you actually handle the content in your drawing, is here in the working area. There you can see those kind of little tabs at the top of the windows, which is mostly, most useful when you're working in kind of full screen, when you're focusing on only one content, because in that case the software lists all the rest of the content, all the active windows which you did not close or disabled in the project manager, and you will be able to switch between those contents here and using this, and you can just enlarge the content and focus on any of those contents. But when you go back to the regular view, this split screen view, which is the default of ARCHLine, then you can just use this option, or you can also use this magnify window, magnify active window option, and then that will automatically sort the way it is before. And even then, you can just activate any sort of content by using these little tabs. As you can see, all the active contents appear with this little blue frame here. So this actually is for that. Now, talking about this interface, and I also already mentioned that you can actually kind of enlarge the content. This you can actually do with the workspace as it looks like now, because as you can find it here, it is called the clean screen option here at the end of this little status bar. If you click on that, the software will actually just clear the clutter. It won't show you any sort of design center, anything. It really helps you focusing on the commands. You can still drop down any of these actions from the top, and you can use the commands, but it won't occupy that space on the frame of your monitor.
How do you revert back to the original
Well, it's actually it's a toggle. So if you clicked on it once and then you click on that again, it will just toggle back.
There's something about the account system in the top right. You can see that now we are signed into the software. So let's just show you let's just move ourselves out of the way. So what changed regarding how you use your account?
We will actually talk about this a little bit later in another session in detail. But as you might already found that here, you can find a login system. You can also go online using an online account and using your online license if you have one. And this is also where the remaining days of your license, if you are having a subscription service or something like that, will appear in the right top corner.
Now, you did mention briefly that when you put it into the large screen, then the design center is collapsed. And speaking of which, what has changed regarding the design center?
Well, the design center is kind of width sensitive from now on, which means that if it's in its default size, then it's wide enough to represent the content in a fashion like you open up the list. You go to the kitchen, for example. Let's find kitchen, and let's go, for example, base cabinets. And in that case, you will find this sort of split view because there's enough space to represent the content, let's say like the folders or categories, and their content, which you can just click and drag. Now, when I said it's width sensitive, that means if I just go back to the home screen and let me just
make it a bit larger or smaller.
I will just make it smaller because let's say I'm on a small monitor and I don't want that to occupy that much space. In that case, it will go back to the original way how it worked earlier. In that case, you go to the same library, kitchen, base cabinets, then the software will open up the content in place. So that's the difference. If it's wide enough, it will automatically align itself and work in a split view like it did now. So let's just go to kitchen, base cabinets, and if it has not enough space, then it will just automatically use this collapsed view.
So all these improvements were basically made with various sizes of screens in mind. So whatever your screen size is, you can find the best options and the most convenient layout for you.
That's it, yeah.
Let's see an interesting option about sliding doors, how to create and how to use them.
About the sliding doors, this is something that is built-in part of the software, so you can pick up and use sliding doors in the software. And with the door wizard, which you can find here in the door, new door command, and you can just use the door wizard tool, you can actually now design those sliding doors. Let me show you an example. Here I actually already placed a sliding door. So it is something that was designed with the door wizard. You can animate it, you can make it open or close, you can show how it works, you can turn on or off the symbol, you can actually fully customize the panel, whether it's one panel or multiple panel door. You can set up whether it's inside the wall or outside the wall, running in front of the wall. And this is something that you can do with the door wizard. So inside the door wizard, let me show you how this specific door was created. If you go to the door wizard, which is when I modify something, is here with the opening properties. Here you have a full designer for doors built up on schemes. You can set up different regular doors, multi-panel doors, and so on, different shapes. And here at the end, you have two different type of inside and outside, inwards and outwards doors, inside the wall or outside the wall, two-panel or single-panel orientation doors. Now here's in the right-hand side preview, I will be able to demonstrate what happens. So I can set up the main parameters. The main parameters, the full width and full height, is actually the opening size, not the structure size, but the opening size. And in front of the opening, based on the representation, it should be either open or closed. You can turn on or off the visibility of this symbol. You can design the frame. In this specific case, the frame, because it has no side frame in this situation, it only has a top frame. That's the railing actually. You can define the railing with its material and also with its cross-section profile. The cross-section profile is something that you can pick up from our libraries, or you can actually design your own cross-section profiles as well. You could use a DWG file and just turn that drawing into a profile if you fancy that. Now also you can set up the size, the offset, and many different options. Also you can set up the threshold. Now in this case, the threshold is part of the railing. It's where actually this panel runs on top of. So you can also design that. Obviously, it has a specific cross-section profile, which was picked up using this threshold 3 cross-section profile. And this is, again, something that you can fully customize, and you can change the material as well for this with all the rest of the properties. The panel itself, the panel is here. Now I have selected a single panel sliding door. And in this specific case, I have one option to set up the how it is operated, whether it's swiveled or, I mean, you know, there's this different operations. Now, and I wanted to use a sliding door, so I've selected the last one. And I can also set up the opening percentage in on the 2D symbol and in the 3D, how it is represented by default. And also I can set up all the rest of the materials. Now, one interesting thing with this door, with this panel, is it has actually an inset as well. I don't go to the rest of the details, just this is something that I wanted to describe. Just as in other cases with the door wizard, also with the sliding doors, you can set up insets. In this case, this is this little strip. This is actually created based on a glass surface. And it has an offset from the left and from the right, so it will keep it because it's an automatic profile. So if you resize the panel, it will you know, be stretched with the panel. You have two options to do this, either this way or the other. So this is how you design a sliding door. It's quite similar to how you design regular doors, but the only difference is the operation and how you can represent it in the 3D and in the 2D. So if I just hit OK now, I did not change that, so it's appearing quite the same way. But what I wanted to show you is that you can actually select another one if you already saved those. I created 2 or 3 different type of sliding doors, so I just wanted to represent one another. So I go to the properties, and here in the regular door designer option, I have this name. This is how I saved it. And let me just go with, I think this would be interesting to look at, how it looks like in the door.
So I just another type, and what happens then about the sizes?
Yeah, and now I don't want to keep the original dimensions because this is obviously smaller than the one that I'm wanting to use. So I just say no, and then the software will just apply this into the wall surface. And again, here I can decide whether it is, I don't know, fully open or just 50% open. I can turn on or off the visibility of this symbol, and I can also animate it to show my clients how it is actually operating in the 3D.
Compact and fast. Let's see how to create and manage false ceilings, especially if they have multiple recesses.
Yes, well, actually I have this example here loaded. Let me just go back to the original one. This is what we would like to create. And I just would like to show you the basic steps which leads to this one with these new possibilities that I'm about to demonstrate. So if you would like to create something like this for the LED lights, as you can see, this is like a kind of like squished D shape where there's space on the sides to nest the LED light strips. So this is what I want to create with the ceiling tool. So now with the ceiling tool, I have this empty project here, empty part of the project for this demonstration. I will use these guidelines. I just previously created a few lines to follow just to ease this demonstration out a little bit. And then I just go to the ceiling, and I will simply use the plain auto ceiling tool. I click here, and then I will just modify this. Now, an important thing, if you just would like to create a hole like this, like a squished D-shaped something, you should have enough space in that solid that you are actually modifying. So what you do then, you go to the properties of this ceiling, and you just set up a proper thickness for this. The default thickness is this. What you see here is it's like just 20 millimeters, but I just would like to set up 200 millimeters instead of that. So that's it. This is how it looks like, and this is where I would like to place that that part of the ceiling. Now the ceiling has these tools built into the building: ceiling and recess and attachment. Now the recess allows you to create basically like hole shapes, like negative shapes, and the attachments are positive shapes. Now I need 2 negative shapes, one with the large size and one with the small size, and I need to properly position them, the large on top of the small one. So I will just use the create recess tool, and I select the ceiling, and I will just use the outer contour of the larger shape, which is a simple rectangle. I just hit enter, and it automatically appears. The default setting is it's 50 millimeters thick, and the size otherwise is this size, which you can see here. Now I define the second one, which seemingly won't appear in the 3D, but it's only because I have now positioned two shapes, a smaller inside the large one, to the totally same plane. So the smaller is not visible. So let me just hit escape or just click on finish.
So you need to offset one of the other.
Yes. I will just position the large one on top of the small one. So I go to the settings, the context menu, and I will select the recess attachment, edit recess attachment. Now I have two attachments, two recesses. The first one, which is here, that's the larger, and the second one, which is the smallest one, which is nested inside the large one, so we cannot see. But if I go here and I can see the distance from the reference plane option, this is what I need. This is how I can offset its base position. So I will just select the large one, and I will offset it by 5 centimeters right on top of the previous one, and it will be a negative direction, so it's minus 0.05. And let's just click on redraw. So it seems like it shrunk.
Yes,
but it's because the smaller one is, from our point of view, is below the larger one. So that little kind of nested part is kind of hidden on the sides. But you will see in the 3D now. I just hit OK. So this is how it looks like, but if I just move the camera, we can obviously see that there is this nesting over there.
Okay, can we go back to the original drawing?
Yes, so this is how this actually was modeled, with the rest of the interior, obviously. And also this is, with these tools, we created this little panel inside the room, inside the ceiling of the room. And also, as you already may know, the ceiling tool supports other light sources like spotlights that you can nest into the to the ceiling. And also using the LED strip tool, you can also design the LED strip inside that part that you have designed in the software. So this is how flexibly you can design a relatively complex suspended ceiling, I must say, in a relatively short time with these tools.
And again, if anytime your design changes, you can just fine-tune the shapes using the 2D profiles.
Yes.
What do we do if we have a situation like the one on the screen and we want to have a slab with layers which are inclined?
Well, this is a good example to that. I would like to incline or make a slope layer for this specific layer here. And as you may already know, that in the software you can actually make a slope to the whole slab using this command, which is in the let me just go modify inclination. And I will use the by reference line, so I will just quickly define a reference line from here to here, 2 points, and let's just make it minus 1.5 degree. And then when I hit OK, then the software makes it a slope. But I don't want to make the whole slab slope. Let me just quickly
one layer,
cut this part. Only one layer. So in that case, I just go into the properties of this slab, and I go to the slab layers. And here I have this option to enable slab layers with variable thicknesses. And then what the software does now, because the layer index 4 is this layer, that's why we can see that the top layer is now inclined. But if I just would like to change this to the thermal insulation, then I just go here, select the third layer, and then now you can see it clearly that that's the layer with the inclination. So when I hit OK, we will see this change. It's subtle change, so it won't be that much visible, but I can tell already that this is the inclined layer and all the rest is just a regular layer.
Very useful tool if you want to make like a balcony drainage or things like that.
Yes.
When you do thermal insulation projects, it's vital that you can show the insulation layer as a separate design phase.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Yes, let's make it clear that which is the command that you can use to add that additional layer. Here I actually already added extra layers using this command here in edit and insulation renovation. With this one, you can add extra insulation layers to existing walls. It's a very quick command. We have a separate tutorial about that. But now focusing on this this topic here, what I did here, I just just selected the structure, went into the properties, and here in the edit compound walls list, where you actually design the layers, you can tell not just these regular settings for this wall layers, but also in which phase they are represented in. So now this is the thermal insulation, and I need to represent it in the new phase, which is the last phase of the four phases that the software will represent for you. And as you can see, it is already appearing when I hit OK. It is recolored in a way it was recolored here, and it's simply because you have an override option, which the software actually is shipped with default settings, but I just changed with this override setting to represent anything that appears new blue on my drawing, because the things that are demolished, those are actually red, as you will see on the design. So after that, what I did, I just actually made a copy property command using the copy properties on the rest of these items. And then the last step that I would like to is that I would like to represent the whole building, the demolition plan, and also the new phase in one single plan. And for this, I need to click on this specific instance, which I already placed. And now that the software recognized that this is actually already out of date, I can just hit OK. OK, just make it clear that I use the latest version of my design, and the software will automatically refresh this option. Should that not happen automatically, I can just simply right click here, and I just select the refresh all layouts, or refresh this, and then that will do the same thing. So this way you can actually represent your design not only by representing different stages and phases of the full building, but also a tiny part like the extra additional insulation to your wall layers.
This is a huge asset for documentation purposes. Let's now see some roof editing options through their markers.
Yeah, well, now if you select the roof in the 2D, you will see the contours obviously appearing, the structure contour, the roof plane contours, and so on. But what I'm about to talk is that you have these two options. The R is the main slope of the roof. The L is the overhang, which you can customize here. These are not just data. You can actually click here and modify it. I will just show you in a second. And also you can customize them plane by plane. So let me show you a quick example how that goes. Let me just first modify the main slope. So let me show you how that works. You just click here, and if I just would like to give it an inclination like, I don't know, like 30 degrees instead of 25, I just retype this value 30, hit enter, and then now obviously the roof gets larger because the larger inclination results in a roof such like that. And also the same way I could change the overhang all around if I would like to. But to focus on the rest of these planes, you can see that you can actually click on each and any of those planes and you can customize. So you can just say that this should be, I don't know, around, I don't know, like 40 degrees. So it's a larger slope. You can also make a smaller slope. And if you select the roof, you will see in cases like this, there is also the possibility to define a slope of 90 degrees. So what is that? If you define a 90 degrees slope for a roof, then you will be actually create a gable ending. So this is how it goes. You just type 90. And this is how it goes. This is what you will end up, because 90 means it's fully perpendicular, so the software will automatically make it disappear. And then you can just undo this the same way. You can just type here the same value it was before, like 30 degrees, and then you can just get back the previous one.
So instant connection between the 2D and the 3D again. Let's see now some curiosities about the plot layouts and printing.
Well, in case of the plot layouts, one important thing is that whenever you assemble a plot layout like this with multiple pages, then sometimes it comes to as a need that you would like to replicate the same layout but with empty content, because you would like to fill it up with different content. So in this case, all you need to do is just to open up the layout that you would like to duplicate, and then you go to the documentation plot layout and just duplicate the sheet itself. So if you click here, then you will get the exact same sheet with the empty pages, and then you can just, you know, assemble the same exact way as you assemble the other one.
What about the title boxes? Are they filled out automatically?
Yes.
Or?
Yes, they actually inherited the original title
But you
boxes.
can modify them.
You can modify them. Just it is actually the exact same layout, the sheet, which I could do manually one by one. And the whole point here is that I don't have to add the same layout one by one, page by page, but I can actually just replicate the original one empty. And the other thing that I wanted to show you is actually when you would like to print a content. If you would like to print a layout, if you'd like to print any sort of content, sometimes because of the different margins of the printers, you may face with an issue.
Some things might be missing out of the margin and therefore not to be printed. So there's a way to circumvent that. For that, you need to open up the printing dialog. And what do you do there?
Yes, if that happens, then you can, as you may already know, that you can set up the orientation default, rotated drawing, and this is the option that I'm talking about, the upside down option. If I click this in, then the software actually rotates this on 180 degrees. And then this way it helps you if the top and bottom margins are different on your printer, then you can just, kind of flip it or turn it around 180 degrees, and then you can just avoid this sort of mistake that could happen if this would not be an option here in the printing dialog.
So this sums up this presentation on some of the features of ARCHLine.XP 2022. We are going to have some other videos to show you some other neat things about how to handle your design and documentation. From our part, we would like to thank you for your attention. If you like this video, of course, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye on our social and the website for other shows in a similar fashion. And also you can download the free trial and give the software a test drive. Thanks for the attention. See you again.